pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, just to let everybody know, we do have a member who's online, so all votes tonight will have to be roll call votes. First of all, I do have a motion to approve the agenda and the consent agenda items.
So moved.
Second.
All right, got movement by Ms. Ossendorf and Mr. Bush. All those in favor say aye with roll call vote. Mr. Heineman.
Aye.
Ms. Ossendorf.
Aye.
Ms. Rode.
Aye.
Mr. Lucas.
Aye.
Mr. Bush.
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence.
Aye.
And I am an aye. All right, motion passes. Moving on to the reports from organization. Did I miss something? No.
Student council.
Yeah, PACT Student Council Representative Elementary.
Laura, do you want to do an introduction of our student?
Are we doing our student council?
Yes.
So I am proud to introduce you to Faye and Cece, and they are siblings and on our student council, and they're here to report on all the awesome things that they've been involved in at PACT. So welcome, ladies. You can have a seat.
All right, you can begin.
Good evening, PACT School Board members and guests.
My name is Cece,
And I'm Faye.
and we are in 5th and 3rd grade. We are so excited to have the opportunity to share some of the recent highlights from the Elementary Student Council with you tonight.
The Elementary Student Council has decided to use some of the money we've raised to buy new things for our specialist classrooms. These are the classrooms for art, music, library, and gym. We're also saving some of the money to help with future updates to the playground, so we can all enjoy even more fun and safe outdoor spaces.
Right now we're planning some fun spring activities to give back to the community. After voting on ideas, we decided to make tie blankets for the Children's Hospital in March to help cheer up kids who are sick. We also want to organize a donation drive to help Animal Humane Society so we can help out animals in need.
We've also seen a lot of Panther Pride around the school lately, especially with the Winter Wonderland Dress Up Days sponsored by the PTO. These dress up days led up to Family Literacy Night, and it was so fun seeing everyone from the little ones to the older grades showing off their school spirit. It's always awesome to see everyone excited about being a part of the same school.
Thanks so much for listening to us talk about all the fun things happening here at PACT this month. We are really proud of what our student council is doing and can't wait to keep contributing to the student council together.
Come on back this time. Come on back. I love that. Mr.
Yes, Mr. Feinsman.
Cece and Faye, I just want to say thank you for being able to come and present. It's a lot, I mean, that's kind of a big deal to have to come and sit in front of all of the adults and be able to read that. And you guys did fantastic. And I have one question for you, because I heard all about how excited everybody was for the dress-up days. If you could each tell me, if you could choose any one dress-up day that you could pick, I'm curious, what would you choose for your dress-up day?
What do you do?
Like dress up what you want to be when you grow up.
So what you want to be when you grow up? That's awesome.
I thought my favorite one was probably the Santa's Little Helpers one, or like dress up as like the elves or something. That was my favorite.
If you could do something moving forward before the end of the year, what would you pick?
I would do, thank you. I do one where you could dress up as like your favorite book character.
That's awesome. I just want to say thank you again.
Yeah,
Those are
good
really
job.
cool. Does anyone else have any other questions?
I bet you Dr. Bronson would be all over that one.
It's probably a short case.
Thank you very much, ladies. That was a good job.
Thank you so much. Way to go.
All right, agenda item number 4, recognitions PACT Employee of the Month. Dr. Flansburgh.
All right, well, I'd like to invite Mr. Moschel up front for a moment. Sorry there, Mr. Lawrence. Actually, we'll let you hold this sign here for a moment and get to show that off for everybody. Dear School Board Directors, I'm pleased to present Joshua Moschel, elementary 5th grade teacher, as the January 2025 Employee of the Month. Josh is an educator of the whole student, offering his care and expertise in meeting the all-encompassing physical, emotional, social, and academic needs of each student in his class. We are thankful for the thoughtful approach to teaching and the consistent individualized attention he offers his learners. Before entering the classroom each day, Mr. Moshel's students offer him a specialized class handshake, demonstrating that they are welcome members of the class community. They feel seen, known, and valued. The classroom culture is one of belonging and acceptance. On the wall is a poster with the mantra Josh often refers to in his class, "We can do hard things." He sets his students up believing that they are worthy of greatness. The high expectations he holds for their achievement are echoed in how they have transferred that belief in themselves. When teaching rigorous content, Josh makes the abstract relatable and the challenging achievable. Students notice his constant positivity and creativity in his instructional strategies, while he also works to find the balance of structure and routine they can count on. Students feel affirmed and safe approaching Mr. Moschel due to the personal connections he can make with them. Lastly, Josh is a team player. He advocates for his colleagues' health and well-being, ensuring that they have the tools and resources needed to thrive in their personal lives and classroom settings. He publicly offers shout-outs to his peers in meetings and privately in individual conversations and emails. He creatively incorporates his team and administration in celebrating the success of his students in behind-the-scenes ways, fostering collaborative excitement and honoring their many achievements. According to one of his fellow 5th grade teachers, Josh is reliable, trustworthy, and brings a sense of humor to our team. In summary, Josh is the type of educator who goes above and beyond to make sure his students have a positive school experience in a relationally driven way. His care and love of students and colleagues are contagious, setting a high bar for what all PACT teachers should strive to attain. Please join me in congratulating Joshua Moschel as our January 2025 Employee of the Month. Maybe that one is yours as well, and we can always give you the floor if you want to say a couple inspirational words, things that will be thought-provoking, things that will be memorable for years to come.
The only thing I'll say is I've been married for a long time, so I want to thank my wife. My wife Lindsay is probably, everything starts at home, so she's the reason I'm able to do things. Her support, my kids' support, and then obviously great team. Dr. Bronson's leadership, Ms. Moen, Dr. Flansburgh, Kaylee, most of my team. Everybody does a great job, so I'm just like a little part of that. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, teaching and learning PACT Spotlight presentation is an elementary 4th grade team.
And at this time, Dr. Bronson is going to be introducing the team. So.
Well, you just met a member of the amazing 5th grade team that we have at PACT, but he's not alone. They're not alone. We have amazing teams, and you are going to have the privilege of hearing from our amazing 4th grade teachers. So I would like to introduce to you Miss Lee, Miss Lear, Miss Skolton, and Miss Zievenbergen. And before they come up, I just want to say one of the joys of my day is going to individual PLC meetings, professional learning communities. And when I go to the 4th grade PLCs, I know that these meetings are run with a student-centric lens, with professionals who are bringing out the best in each other, who are creatively challenging each other and giving each other ideas and collaborating, and it's just an honor to be colleagues with them. So fourth grade team, come on over and you will get to present all the things that happen in fourth grade. So let's give it for our fourth grade team.
Well, like we said previously, we're the fourth grade team, and just to highlight who individually we are, I'm Hannah Stolten.
I'm Monica Ziebenbergen.
I'm Veronica Lee.
I'm Stephanie Lear.
First, we're going to highlight our schedule. One thing that we really love about PACT is our student-centered learning, and you're going to see that throughout our day going forward. Some of the things that I would love to highlight is our collaborative opportunities that we have for students. We start in the morning always with a morning meeting or character-focused education lesson. This is time where we get to learn about those traits that we want to instill in our PACT students and also get to work one another to either solve problems or talk about things that we're really enjoying about our classroom. Some other things I want to highlight about our student-centered learning is our math win time, focused on math specifically, and then ELA win. Those are our targeted interventions that we're running not only with our lower students, but also our higher and mid-tier students. We want to meet all of our students where we're at. We collaborate with those students and talk about them during our PLCs, and then we meet with them at least once a week, if not more, depending on what they need. And then we also have a flex time located in the middle of our day. That's where we get to focus on what exactly our students needing whole group, and then we individualize our instruction based upon what our students are needing. Any questions about the schedule? Okay. Then going from that, our math curriculum, we like to focus a lot on vocabulary and language use. So some of the things that you'll see are new vocabulary in each lesson. We also have opportunities for collaboration, either partner, whole group, or individually, depending on what they need. We also have vocabulary embedded in every assessment as well. We have 3 to 4 math skills per week. We have weekly fact fluency practice and testing. We also have small group instruction, like I alluded to during our win times. Groups are assigned by classroom teachers. Interventions are based on exit tickets and unit assessments. And then finally, math extension groups. We just recently incorporated something called Math Masters, or a math extension group, to help meet our higher students. And then as far as the resources that we're using, PACT incorporates math expressions for those higher level grades in elementary. We utilize that quite a bit. We utilize it for our whole group instruction, for review and practice material, challenges and extension work, and then finally, for personal math trainer, that's like an online activity we assign to them. Finally, we do fluency builders. That's like our paper tests that we give out, those fact fluency pages. And then finally, online systems like Extra Math. Any questions on math? Yes?
Hannah, thank you. One of the things you mentioned, I think it's important for those who are watching or don't know what Math Masters is, because it's a wonderful extension opportunity for kids. Could you provide a little bit more background and an explanation of what that really is?
I can. So something that I've been wanting to offer to our students is an opportunity for them to not only collaborate on a higher level, but also get to practice a variety of different skills. Because what I'm finding with these with my students is sometimes the skill that we're working on is a little bit under where they need to be. So what I focus on in Math Masters is a variety of skills. I just recently worked on them with order of operations and then some different like operational work. And then we're gonna get into a whole bunch of different skills. I give them a multi-skill review page or a future skills page. I give them an introduction to what that looks like and how to do some of those skills. We collaborate together to see some of those like processing or reasoning related skills for math. And then we get to talk about it together and problem solve together too. Now eventually, there are competitions that are offered, and I have done that at other schools before. I would love to extend that, but at this time, I just want to see what it might look like for our higher students.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, then I will pass it off to Ms. Lear to talk about language arts. Or,
I'm
sorry.
actually going to talk about language arts. Hannah does awesome with all of our math stuff. She's really a great math brain, so I just want to highlight all of her hard work that she's put into math, because she does really awesome with that. For language arts, we do whole group instruction daily. We focus on a weekly mentor text. Sometimes there are 2 texts that we focus on. And then there are 3 to 4 reading skills per week within that. We also have a weekly spelling pattern that we focus on. With the introduction of science of reading, we've been focusing on not on memorizing spelling word lists, but really on incorporating spelling patterns and trying to align with that. And we also talk a lot about vocabulary and morphology, which includes all of the prefixes and suffixes and roots. We know that that's something that can help students expand their vocabulary and help them when they are reading new texts to really comprehend what they are saying. Then for small group instruction, it is similar to math, where we share students among our classrooms to try to meet all of their needs. So we based those interventions based on FastBridge assessments and also what we see in the classroom, just on what every student needs. And then we also recently started a reading extension book club group, which Hannah runs as well. And it's a great way to challenge those students who can use an extra boost and who can do a little more. And they've been loving it. They're really engaged, and we're feeling like this is a great way for us to meet all of our students' needs just by sharing them among the 4 classrooms. So finally, I wanted to mention a little bit about how the READ Act has affected our instruction this year, because that's been a really big thing in Minnesota and across the country. So we've updated our vocabulary instruction to reflect science of reading, with making sure that that is aligned so we can instruct our students in the best way. And then we've also updated our fluency intervention groups with using decodable texts to make sure that students are reading text that they will actually be successful in, that is based on our spelling pattern of the week as well. Okay.
All right, so for science and social studies, we actually do things a little bit differently, where we have split it up equally among all of us teachers. And then the kids rotate rooms depending on the quarter. So quarter 1, I might have my class. Quarter 2, I might have Ms. Z's class. Quarter 3, Hannah's class. Quarter 4, Stephanie's class, and so on. And Hannah and I are actually in charge of science. So for science, we use FOSS, which is the full option science system. We do a lot of experiments, a lot of hands-on activities, a lot of collaborative discussions. We do a lot of data recording and data comparison as well. And we have some interactive videos and some interactive readings as well that go along with our FOSS curriculum, which is awesome. So Ms. Skolton, or Hannah, is in charge of teaching environments and energy. And some subcategories that fit under environments are the inherited traits, food webs, and a population simulation. And for energy, it has a lot to do with magnetism. And then I teach about soils and weathering, natural resources, and landforms. Some subcategories for soils and weathering is soil composition, so what soil is made up of. We actually do a hands-on experiment with that. We're doing that right now in class. It's a lot of fun. Physical and chemical weathering, and just comparing and contrasting the two of those. Natural resources, we have renewable and non-renewable resources, just looking into both of those, different earth materials. And then for landforms, we do stream table investigations, so their kids actually get to make their own stream tables, and they get to learn all about erosion and deposition, and it's a lot of fun for them and for me as well. I enjoy it.
When you get to the next slide, you'll just have to keep going through.
Yeah.
Okay. So for social studies, Mrs. Z and I have that. We use into social studies a little bit, but we also supplement a lot for social studies. You go to the next one. So Mrs. Z focuses on citizenship and government. We have branches of government, rights and responsibilities, economics, natural resources, goods and services, and supply and demand. And I know that when my students came back from her class, they had a lot of hands-on things that she did with the kids, and cutting and just had them filling out a lot of things about the government and economics. And then I go over geography and history. For geography, I talk about maps and the totals, what all that means, the regions of the United States, and then for history, actually for history, I haven't really gotten into that yet, but that's kind of our new standards. So this is kind of based off of both, and then history is based off of the new standards that are coming up that I want to incorporate in the next year. And then going off of science, we have environmental engineering, which we are going to go to the works to do in March. It's the students are gonna discover how engineers work to reduce erosion, so kind of going off of what Ms. Lee said. And they're gonna build a hill and then pour water on it or sprinkle water on it, and then go ahead and change the hillside to see if it works better with other sources. There's a class on that, and then we also have open room where they're going to be doing technology, engineering, and science. And that's about it. Any questions for any of us?
Ms. Lee, I have to share. I have been in education now. This is my 28th year. I was an elementary teacher, and sometimes we in education are so inundated with acronyms, we don't even know when an acronym is an acronym anymore. I taught FOSS in the third grade and fifth grade classrooms, and never once as a teacher did I ever question whether it was an acronym. And I learned that FOSS, Full Option Science System, is actually an acronym, and let it be said that we all learn something new every single day. And so I love that. I took a note of it and I went, huh, I wonder how many of my colleagues back in the day even knew that that was an acronym as well. So thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
I love being able to do that. That was absolutely fantastic. And thank you, all of you, for the hard work that you are doing to make the student experience so amazing. It was fantastic to be able to hear the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions from any members of the board? All right, thank you very much. All right, moving on to item number 6, administrative reports and recommendations, the superintendent report.
Thank you, Mr. Tassi. Good evening, everyone. Before we head into our budget and finance, I wanted to be able to share that Dr. Losi and I this morning actually had a very unique opportunity. We were able to go down to Bethel University and join in their education department. They had extended an invitation out to a number of school districts and partner schools to be able to participate and join in on conversations about what do their student teachers need to know. They were looking for feedback loops to be able to further their instruction with their students and help them prepare to be the next future. They also they had a superintendent and director of teaching and learning from a school district a little bit further north of the metro come in, and they presented on why teacher mentoring is so important. And they shared some really sobering statistics, and I wanted to share that with everybody tonight that I found extremely interesting, and why teacher development, teacher partnership, and the whole idea behind continually building a continuous improvement model for teacher supports in our system is so important. There was a slide they shared, and they titled it, "The Number Says It All." This is a resource from Penn State Center of Education and Evaluation and a Policy Analysis. In 2010 and 2011, there were 881,000 students enrolled in a teacher preparation program across the country. Compare that to 10 years later, 21 and 22, and that number has plummeted to 591,000 teachers. In 2010 and 2011, there were 214,000 teachers out of the 881,000 that enrolled in a teacher preparation that actually completed the teacher preparation program. 10 years later, the total number of students completing the program was down to 160,000 student teachers. That across the nation is a drop of 25% in the past decade. Minnesota is in the top 12 of those numbers. Our state saw an enrollment decline in teacher preparation programs of 42.1%. So when we think about, when people hear sub-shortages, teacher shortages, those are real. And those are challenges that we face as an institution, and nobody's immune. Every school district across the state of Minnesota is feeling it. I talked to colleagues who are saying the exact same thing. We also had an instructional cabinet meeting earlier today where we talked about coaching and the importance of coaching. whether it's my role in being able to help coach principals, whether it's the principal's role in being able to help coach teachers. The whole idea behind all of it, and when we think about the health and well-being of teachers and the system and students, it's creating a healthy, positive work environment where people want to be. Because teaching is hard, and it's probably one of the most complex endeavors that is out there. And that said, environment matters. And being able to set the conditions for staff to be able to thrive and do well is important. And I just want to be able to, again, highlight the things that you heard Dr. Losey and Dr. Bronson share in our work session earlier tonight, highlighting some of the fun things that they're doing that bring culture and community and why people would want to stay. Why PACT? What makes us special? What makes us different? And I think it's not just our families and our students, it's the teachers who want to be here, it's the administration that wants to be here. Everybody's here for the same purpose, but I think it's realizing those challenges of finding really great individuals is getting harder and harder and harder every single year. So we want to continue to develop those that we have and help them become the best that they can be. So I say that just because it was pretty sobering to see that statistic. We knew that the numbers were high. We didn't know exactly how high. So I share that as we continue, and we often think, well, can't we just go find, or there's somebody out there, they'll take that position. It's challenging, and finding the right who for people who want to come to PACT because they believe in our character education, they believe in our philosophy of how we teach differently, and really embedding those character traits in everything that we do, and helping create the culture and the climate. And I think it's really important to be able to say, holding the kids to high expectations. Because you hear about that across the nation where teachers don't necessarily feel supported with behaviors across the nation. And I want to give compliments to our principal team and the teachers. They're trying to combat that, and they're addressing those behaviors, and it's a challenge, and they're addressing it. And so because I think that was brought up at one of our earlier board meetings earlier this year. It's like, we're hearing, well, I want you to know they're addressing. And there's communications that have gone home to families. There are communications that have gone out to the entire staff and students. We're holding you to high expectations. Why? Because we believe in you. And for any student who might be watching, I think it's really important to believe we want the best for you. And how do we get the best for you? By creating a safe learning environment where we hold high expectations and truly believe that every student can accomplish amazing things. So I didn't plan on this part of the conversation earlier today, but after that presentation, I thought about it and was like, I wanted to share out that information to be able to make sure the board is aware, but also so we know for our community that they're watching and knowing what we're doing to address and support both our students and our faculty to be able to make a positive and healthy school environment. So with that, I'll hand it back to Mr. Dossi.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on to 6B, first of all, any questions from the board to Dr. Flansburgh? I'm sorry. All right, seeing none, I will move on to 6B, budget and finance, the FY25 revised budget. I think that's where Bridget comes in.
Minnesota Bridget.
Minnesota Bridget.
Minnesota Bridget?
Yeah.
Is that my new nickname?
Yeah, we just came up with it.
You've got a good Minnesota accent.
I'm not.
You're Minnesota.
I'm proud of that.
Minnesota at heart, Bridget.
Yeah, even in Oka County.
Yeah.
Okay, good evening. I'm here this evening to present to you the FY25 revised budget for PACT Charter School. And first off, I want to just start with this process and what this process has been. I know I was here last month and presented this to you as a draft, and so this evening we'll ask for approval of this, but this process really started back, I would say September for sure, when enrollment and conversations started happening, and then immediately October, November, I went to work revising revenues. Expenses were pulled apart to the best of our ability, given the timeline and of when we wanted to revise this. And so I just want to make all of you aware that it is a long process, and this did start many months ago. And so with that, I will jump into this revised budget is based on 1,385 kids Remember, we had an adopted of 1,251 kids, so this budget is a positive increase of 134 kids for PACT for FY25. And I'm not going to walk you guys through as much detail as I did last time because honestly, I tweaked a few things, but not a lot. And so I'm just going to highlight for you where those changes occurred. And so in the revenue area, the only change this evening from what you had last month was the ADSYS revenue. I've increased that by $42,000 approximately. And the reason for that was because I was still digging into staffing and moving a lot of the staff around out of Gen Ed and over into the area where they're really doing the work. And so I thank Anna Ray primarily for all of her help with trying to maximize all this revenue and where our people are working to best meet student needs. So that's a positive change for us. That revenue increased overall $42,226 from that last draft you did see. Any questions on the revenue revision there? That was good news. And then the only changes that were made, as you just heard me say, to expenses primarily were the removal of some staff from the admin and operation area and the instructional area to move them into Title I and ADSYS areas. The Title I, I always had your entitlement in the revenue, so I didn't change the expenses, I just changed the expenses by category or program area. So overall, there's absolutely no change to expenses from what I presented to you guys last month. So the total expenses will still stay at $17,163,574 for the general fund. So just that right there is the concept of, you know, trying to maximize and put categorize all of your revenue to its fullest. So you can see how by doing that, I took them out of Gen Ed and shifted them over to ADSYS where we get reimbursed 56%. So, any questions on the general fund? Revenue or expenses?
Well, the food service that we had talked about was more positive, yet, if I'm reading it correct, we're still showing negative.
I would draw your attention to the last page. I added to this an individual fund summary. I don't know if you guys can see that. So it's the very last page all the way at the bottom. I did a breakout of your general fund and your food service fund. And so what you see at the bottom there is the beginning fund balance. So that's where we are starting this school year. And then I have our projected revenues by fund and our projected expenditures by fund. And you can see the food service fund, I'm projecting a $56,000 profit.
I like that.
Yeah, and I did not make any changes to the food service revenue or expenses from the last time.
Other than making sure they're paying for the proper
How'd you do
individuals.
that?
Correct. So, and were you not here last time, Ann?
Sorcery.
So it was primarily in this, if you look at the expenses on the last page, scroll up just a tiny bit in the food service fund area. So I was able to shift some staffing costs that were included in that fund, primarily maintenance staff, back to the general fund where I believe, and I think a lot of school finance people will say that's where they belong, is in the general fund. Do they work in our food service fund and do they support our food service fund? Do they support everything? Yes, they do. They're very important to, you know, the health and of staff, students, and everyone, but they really are truly a general fund expense. You can charge their time to the food service fund. That's completely allowable in the state of Minnesota, but typically we only do that when that fund is profitable.
Sure.
And when they can. So unfortunately for PACT, we were, maybe not intentionally, but in the past we were creating deficits that we probably shouldn't have been creating. So in both funds actually, the general fund and the food service fund, because what happened in the general fund? The general fund had to bail out the food service fund, and so it made our general fund look bad as well. So I'm going to say the custodians belong in the general fund. We're going to plan for them there. We're going to know that we need them. And then we're gonna keep them out of the food service fund until such time that our food service fund has an excess that we need to spend money on and spend that down. And then I will consider shifting some of their time over there, but not until we have a decent fund balance, because as you can see down at the bottom of the page again, I added for everyone's reference, the far right side, a projected fund balance as a percent of expenses for each fund. And so the food service fund, that $56,000 profit and ending fund balance I'm projecting is only 10%. That can go really fast if we need an oven. Or, and now I know you guys don't necessarily cook food here, but it could be something else, dishwashers or other, sanitary type things we need in the kitchen area. Warmers or, those things are expensive. So the idea will be to try to build a fund balance for them that we're comfortable with. And so maybe in 5 years we can code custodians or other staff over there.
But if this holds, then in July, I know there are some needs in our food service. We would have some funds that we could use to fill some of those needs.
Correct. Yep. That's a choice that we can definitely, we can even talk about that through the budget cycle process too, and kind of planning for that if we are, if in a couple more months, I see the food service fund still trending positively, and we can definitely do that.
Any questions, Ryan? Any questions? All right.
One quick
Oh,
question.
yeah, go ahead, Mr. Lucas.
Looking at the debt service coverage ratio, what did we announce, or when we did the bondholder meeting? Did we give a number then compared to what we?
So the original bondholder meeting
Yep.
was based on the original budget.
Okay.
So the original budget showed us at a positive, but not nearly as positive as it is now with the revised budget. Because that initial budget did not show all of the increase of additional students.
Okay.
So with 130 plus students coming into the school year, that has really helped us. If you look, it was projected, we finished the year at a 0.74. It was projected to be 1.17. Now with the revised budget, 1.58.
Yep. Okay.
So much more healthy and very much in an area we want to see it.
Yep, and then this same budget here has been dumped. So last month, I talked about, I dumped them into my format of the December statements. And so this revision will allow for a projected days cash on hand of about 58 days. So remember, you need 45 to meet your covenants. And so 58 is, I believe, the worst case scenario. It means you spend every single penny of your expenses that we have budgeted and planned for. I don't know if you'll do that or not. If you don't, 58 days goes up to something higher.
I think what I would say, we can't speak to the unexpected. And I think that was one of the things that we had received a little feedback on was 47 felt a little too close to 45. And what if you have an unexpected expenditure, such as you have a facilities issue where, we have some aging, water heaters, pumps over at the elementary, and you had a number of them that needed to be replaced. That cost can go really high really quickly, and then that can eat into it. But Bridget, I think it's good, just to remind everybody, what does 1 day's cash on hand equate to dollar-wise?
I think you guys were 42,000, 45, 48?
I think
Okay.
we're between 48 and 49,000. And I share that because that helps people realize where does it break down. So for us, a day's cash on hand to be able to run everything district-wide is just short of $49,000. So we use that as kind of our benchmark to be able to say what's the cost of running a district daily.
Ms. Hassendorf.
At the last bondholders call, they said 47 wasn't where they want to see us. Did they give us a number where they'd like to see us, or just generally, we'd like to see a little bit more happening?
They don't provide, our goal is to build it double 45, because that's a cushion for a number of reasons, not just the bondholders, you guys. I mean, remember, I think I said a couple months ago, we're still on the tightrope. We want to get ourselves, on a big table platform or something, and much more stable than the tiny tightrope. I mean, even the legislature, our government, as it relates to the state as a whole, the state government and the state budget forecast, not for this biennium that the session is in right now, but the next one, the outlook is not good. And so what does that mean? It means if the state budget goes into a deficit, they can increase that holdback for schools to something greater than the 10% that it is today. So those cash reserves are important for that type of stuff as well, not just the bondholders.
So our goal long-term, or your goal would be double?
Yeah, 90 days at a bare minimum. I think I've heard 110 is the number that this board feels comfortable with, but yep.
Correct.
And the reason for that is that, we know we have, our bonds will need to be refinanced or need to be in a shorter amount of time than long-term, so 5 years or so. And so cash is king, I guess, to use a word that is a buzzword. So we really want to build those cash reserves so that we can get better interest rates, better ratings, better all the things, so that lowers our interest rate for borrowing.
And so do we have a timeline for that?
Yes, Nate,
So the breakdown, so thank you. So it's 110 days is our minimum goal. And the reason that is the minimum requirement really for us to have and attain that BB plus rating, which is the highest rating a charter school can achieve. To be able to do that, if we can achieve that, get that rating, refinance our bonds, we will save millions in interest rates. And I think that's the key. Even a 1 percentage point change, depending on if we go with a 30-year refinance or a 40-year refinance, because the current one was a 40-year refinance with a 10-year balloon. So if you did a 40-year refinance, I wish I had the exact numbers in front of me, but it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $15, $17 million. I can't remember. I might be shooting a little high.
It was big.
But it was very significant. So if you think about that over the life of that loan, all being able to come back into the general fund and or repairs across the system. So one of the things that we're asking Tracy Peters to be able to do is help build us with our PCS building company. What's our long-term facilities maintenance plan? So thinking about 5 and 10 years out, because we do have to have things that need to be replaced. I'll give an example. The tiles at the elementary campus, they're beyond life. They're beyond life by about 10 years. So those need the VCT tiles that are on the floor. So those really do need to be replaced. And then when we replace them, what do you want to replace them with? Because carpet has come a long way from the days where it was just glued to the floor. And now it can absorb, you can extract water out of it very, very quickly. So you can put carpet in a lot of places that the VCT tile is, except the cafeteria. You don't want to do that for milk spills and everything else. But you can also then do, instead of VCT tile in front of water fountains, you put luxury vinyl tile down, and it's far more durable. It doesn't need to be stripped and waxed annually, and it can, it's easy to clean. So when you find things, inefficiencies, like you look at the concrete floors we have here at the secondary, we don't have to replace those VCTs. It's basically polishing and cleaning them. They don't need to be waxed. They don't need to be stripped. It saves custodial time, allowing them to do other things. So.
Yeah, and the only other thing I would like to update all of you on is one of the timelines and the comments that came out of the initial investor call back last December was that we would present to the board a draft of this budget, which we did last month, and then we posted it out on Emma, the required, municipal reporting website. That was done, and we provided them also the revised cash flow statement that I presented last month as well. And then the final step was that we would present and ask the board to approve this revised budget this evening, followed up by another investor call. So that investor call has been scheduled, and that call will take place next Thursday at 10 a.m. It is recorded and will be recorded, and it will be published out on Emma again, and then I will filter it around to members of this board and anybody else that wants to listen to it, and so we're hoping that that's probably not the right word, because that's not a strategy, but we are definitely hoping that a lot of them show up and they ask us a lot of good, hard questions, so that we can explain to them all that we are and all that the goodness that's built into this revision, and that we're aware and we're making tough decisions, but we're going to be okay, and we're moving into the future.
I think one of the things we probably could have done differently in the last call was go probably a little more in depth about the steps that we've taken in the administration and background, giving my background, giving Tracy Peters' background, being able to really talk about Bridget and her background with the shift. I think there was some opportunities we may have, in reflection, could have gone deeper into that might have helped answer some of those questions that they might have had.
When did you say the next meeting is? I'm sorry.
It's a week from today, so February 13th at 10 a.m.
Gotcha.
And the reason I can't invite all of you is because it would be a quorum. So we can't do that, but if there's a couple of you that are dying to jump on and listen to this, feel free. I'll send you the number and the call in.
Let me know, and then we can make sure that a quorum doesn't exist.
Right.
All right, any further questions? Mr. Hyman, do you have any questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, follow up what Dr. Flansburgh said, excuse me. I think the last presentation we had, we fell a little short. That wasn't due to Bridget's, anything on Bridget. That was our previous firm that represented us at that time. So full faith and confidence that the next investors call will go very well with Dr. Flansburgh's leadership and Bridget at Elm managing everything. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, this is an action item. Do we have a motion to adopt the FY25 revised budget?
I move to accept the FY25 revised budget.
Motion by Mr. Lawrence, second by Mr. Bush. All right, roll call vote. Mr. Heineman.
Aye.
Ms. Ossendorf.
Aye.
Ms. Rhodes.
Aye.
Mr. Lucas.
Aye.
Mr. Bush.
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence.
Aye.
And I am an aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, human resource and pardon?
I thought you said thank you.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Bridget.
Thank you.
Human resource and operations services.
Tracy is gone tonight. She actually had a family event and getting some quality time with her loved ones.
All right, so it looks like Ms. Ernston and the communication and community engagement report.
I got a woo. Hello. This is the best my voice has been in 4 weeks, so we'll see how long it goes. Nate might have to step in, but I think I got sick the day of the last board meeting, so it has been a journey. Death has been knocking at the door, and there's times I wanted to let it in, but we have lived through it, and we're going to get through it. So a little communication update. We did have a snow day or cold weather day a few weeks ago, and our systems did not do well. Our communication system, especially at elementary, sent out 1 million phone calls, and I know I have a few ideas why, but ultimately I think it's because Infinite Campus is not a communication tool. It has communications tools, but it's really just a data management. So it very much prompted us to move forward with our plan from last July to get a communication platform. So within about a week, Nathan signed and got contracted with Parent Square, which is a communication platform that really benefits parents. And so we are starting that onboarding process right now. It will take 60 days, maybe 90. They're looking at an early May. So it won't be fully up and running for this school year, but at least by then we will have a good idea of what it's capable of, and then of course implement it fully for fall. So sometimes some of these little hiccups result in me getting a new toy. So no one ever hates that. I just got to say, I told you so. I told you guys this would happen.
Well, and I'll let you have your voice rest for a moment, because we had even individuals at the table who shared with me 27 calls in 7 minutes. Not pointing out anybody specific, but we also know that we had many other families who had even more. And it was I got the call and I was able to get it on the 3rd ring. But we had a number of individuals who were listening to the call and it kept ringing in while they're listening to the voicemail. So, some found it, afterwards going, this is just getting ridiculous, and they kind of were laughing a little silly, going, it's almost comical. Really, Christine and I had a conversation. I said, this was a failure of our system to do what we need to in an emergency situation. And I look at it from that emergency response side of things too. If we had a legitimate situation, it's a gas leak, it's something far more serious, and we need to evacuate a school, or we need to get parents notified immediately, that would not have been the tool. So we've talked and we've made the decision moving forward, we are not going to be using the phone communication method to be able to call out. We are going to go with our emails, our text messages, because the voice system is so unreliable at this time. We need to onboard it with the new one to get us to a much, much better place. My hope is before the school year is over, we can do some test calls to all of our families to be able to see it up and working in the way that we really aspire it to work. So there's a little background why we moved more quickly instead of waiting until July 1st, because this was a priority need, and sometimes this would be an example of an unplanned expense. The nice thing is this expense is not so staggering that it's like, oh my heavens, how much is that costing us? It's a small amount for this year. And because of that, it allowed us to move quickly to be able to respond.
Correct. Also with, oh yes.
Sorry, quick question on that. Is there going to be, so the onboarding to new system, will there be anything that the families have to do, or it's?
Yes.
Okay.
So probably, I've looked at some of their onboarding stuff. They haven't actually sat down with me and trained me yet.
Sure.
We're still in the data collection side, but there is an app that parents can have, or you can log in on whatever, and you'll have all of your forms and your emails, and you'll see, we can run our newsletters through it, we can there's all these things that I don't know how to do, so I don't want to promise them, but you can do your field trips, you can pay for things, so we're hopeful that we will utilize everything that it has to offer. And so there are, they provide even graphics and things that I can send out to get parents to get involved and sign up.
What's really great, it's not only the district communication tool, it will be principal communication tool, and it can go into the classroom and it can become a teacher communication tool as well. So there's aspects that really brings all of our communication tools together into one hub, which will be really helpful.
One nice thing is, like I said, Infinite Campus isn't a communication tool. So when I send out a mass communication, it takes more than an hour because I have to log into Infinite Campus Elementary, set up all of the communication and send it out, wait for it to process a few minutes, log out, log into Infinite Campus Secondary, set up all the communication, send it all out, and then there's a staff messenger. All of that is sort of happening on top of each other, which is what kind of did not help the situation for those on staff that seemed to get the most calls. Some staff didn't get anything, and we don't know why. So the new system actually allows me to set up templates in the system. I can use my phone. I can say, send, gas leak, secondary campus, go, and I'm done. And you're all gonna get it out on your thing. So it's just, it's what it's for. It's what it's for. Infinite Campus is for managing our student data. And they create these little things to sell us, well, we can do this for you too. And we can, that's great, and they're great for a lot of things, but not in this case.
So there's no grading student data component to this new
No.
system?
No,
So Infinite
but
will be-
teachers can use it. I can make templates for you guys, branded templates for teachers to use to send out their weekly newsletters, things like that. So we'll have to do teacher training during workshop week once we decide what level we're going to use it. Again, I don't know enough about it to know how you might use it, but it also will allow you to send a text message to a parent without using your own phone, things like that. So it is really focused on communication.
That's great.
Along with that, while we were on the Parent Square journey, we went ahead and this is who we wanted to get our new website through. And so we went ahead and signed off on that as well. And so we're not paying for it yet. It'll be in the new year, but we did, I think we paid the down payment. It was a little bit to get started on the setup. And so they have reached out to me. I've narrowed it down on some design options and then getting that switched over so that when we come back in the fall, fingers crossed, we might have a new website. And I don't know, I wasn't at the meeting last month. I don't know if Chu talked about the server.
We have some good server news though, and Chu,
Yeah.
I might have you in just a few minutes, once Christine's done, extrapolate on an update that Chu shared with Tracy and I in the last week.
Okay. Well, the server is a problem. Our website is sitting on it, and it's really been a house of cards. And so, this helps us move forward because Parent Square will host our website through their service. So, we're looking forward to that. Moving on to enrollment.
Real quick, Christine, how many pages? Because you shared with me the total number of
Yeah, I actually
website
did count them last night. 2179. So there's a lot of
2,179.
pages.
So think about if a server were to fail and all of those pages went away, trying to rebuild 2,179 new web pages. That's why we are going online. There are redundancies, and Tosawat's sitting in the back saying there are backups to those pieces.
Yeah, there are some backups.
But you a lot of times there's things that will be lost along the way.
And I do every single day. I make updates to the website to know what I did in the last even 2 weeks since it was backed up. We're gonna miss some things. So yes, it's good. We're moving forward. I'm excited. I have job security, at least for the next 6 months.
Big project yet to come.
So I will be very busy. But it's exciting to get something new. This website was designed in 2018 and rolled out in 2019. So it's done a good job keeping us informed. 24-25 enrollment is looking good. As of January 31st, we were at 1398. And we just have, I think, a 4th grade spot sitting open right now. And offers are out. There just takes a while to get them in the seat. Looks like 8th grade also has one, but I feel like that got filled this week. So always looking good. And of course, we don't backfill 12th grade, and we don't expect to fill 11th grade at this point. We just open the seats, but we know that we won't get those. Wait list numbers are listed in the report. Withdrawals, 9. That seems to be the magic number. Looking at my reports, 8 to 9 a month we get. Kind of the same, homeschooling, moving, doing the whatever. So, yeah.
Can I just share real quick?
Yeah.
'Cause remember, when we started the school year, even though when you hear 8 or 9 constantly turning over,
Yeah.
our wait list has grown from the beginning of the year. And even with the turnovers, we started the year with 1,401, or was it 2? 1,402?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right around there.
And it's at, I know that Denise has shared, come Monday of next week, we will be back at 1,400 even. So
Yeah.
we have remained very stable enrollment-wise, even when families move or they choose to homeschool.
Right.
Our enrollment has stayed stable over the course of the year because, as Bridget would share with you, there's a difference. Again, remember the difference between total enrollment and that September 1st count and actual average daily membership, the ADM. And we are funded on ADM.
Yes. And even those extra 402, 403 was in there somewhere. We did have some seniors that dropped. We're not backfilling. We don't backfill seniors. So they're not seats that we can fill. So those were, things that we could not backfill. Next year, so as you know, the lottery was in November. We sent the offers out. We got everybody to say yay or nay. And then we've had this solid 140 for next year. People that are going to join us. This past Monday, Denise sent out the next step, which is we're going to have you enroll in our Infinite Campus system, and you're going to start filling out all your forms and getting all of your information into Infinite Campus. And so I know as of yesterday, almost half had finished their paperwork, and they have a few more days to do that. If they don't do it by Monday, we give them a reminder. If they don't have it by Tuesday, they lose their spot, we move to the next person on list. So we could see some movement in the next couple of weeks. Our goal is to have everyone everyone in the system before we go on spring break, so that we know exactly where we'll be and the families know that they're coming. Our wait list, it looks really healthy for next year. These waitlist numbers are obviously after the kids that have already been accepted and enrolled. So very healthy numbers all the way through even grade 10. To have 13 kids that didn't get in next year after we'd already raised, that's a pretty big deal. So, and they're constantly, these numbers go up every day. We get a couple more every day. So they'll keep going up over the course of the summer. On events, I'm just gonna echo what everyone said. The Winter Wonderland, I didn't go to it. I was, again, Nate said, please go home. Couldn't talk that day, but everyone is saying that it was amazing. I wanna thank the PTO. They do amazing work, hundreds and hundreds of volunteer hours. And they never log them. Melissa's been tracking them down. Please just tell me how much, I'll go and log it in. And so we have logged 3 times more volunteer hours this year at this point than we did last year in the entire year. Part of it is just logging them and tracking them down, but super grateful, and they do so much fun stuff, and they just come in and they handle it, and they're so great to work with. A couple upcoming events. We have High School Musical in February 20th through March 1st here at the campus. Please come. The kids are doing great. It's a very young cast. It's a lot of middle schoolers. So that's kind of fun to see a little bit of a different variety of kids have an opportunity to participate. Laura and her team and I are working on our kindergarten preview night. It sounds like it's going to be super fun. Lots of little stations for the kids to rotate through, and so save the dates went out last week, and then invites will actually go out as we get those numbers solidified through the online enrollment. We've started working on the junior and senior prom. We're doing taste testing. Next week, we're gonna actually have a dinner with the dance, and I heard that you want to chaperone your daughter's prom.
My daughters would kill me.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll probably skip that for you. And then we've had a number of meetings about high school commencement, which is on May 22nd, and over at Constance. Couldn't think of the name, Constance Free Church, and so that is underway. Letters go out, the 100-day letter goes out on February 11th, 100 days to graduation, and so it's kind of a fun time ramping up. And then of course the class of 2037 is graduating on May 22nd as well. 2 ceremonies over in the elementary gym, and so it'll be a super fun day. Nate and I will be doing 9 a.m., 11 a.m. rehearsal at, for the high schoolers, back to 1 o'clock with them, and back in our cap and gowns for the evening. So it's a lot of fun stuff coming up. This is where it gets really fun between now and the end of the year. So kind of excited. That is my report. Any questions?
Any questions, Mr. Heineman, anything? Anyone else on the board? All right, thank you very much.
Yep.
All right, moving on to number 7, the board chair report. Mr. Heineman, I'll go ahead and allow you to do that.
Thank you. Yeah, for the board chair report, I just want to remind faculty that we do have 3 open teacher positions on the board. So we're narrowing in on the time frame where we're going to go ahead and make some decisions on appointing a board member. We had some conversations today regarding the 3 slots. It looks like as of now, we will probably be doing 1 appointment, and then 2 other slots being so close to this next election cycle. We're going to encourage those who were not appointed to fill out the form and to move to that board position via the election cycle. So kind of the last hurrah here. If you're interested, please send me an email. We'd love to have you. And just excited for some new additions to the board. That's all I have.
All right, and moving on to 7B, other board reports. I'm going to take this opportunity to hand over to Dr. Flansburgh. He has some information regarding servers. So.
Drew, would you mind joining us? I know it's a little off the cuff here for a moment, but yeah. I think there's 2 things to be able to share. One on our asset management system update that we're doing, and really being able to hit on the server costs and the savings, because and I'll just preface it, as a reminder, our server is 7 years beyond life and should have been replaced 7 years ago. And some of the initial costs that we were seeing were upwards of $250,000. And we were being told, boy, that's pretty reasonable in a lot of places. And Ju came back and said, I can do better. And so, Ju?
I'm going to stand. I've been sitting all day. So I hope so. Thank you. So, yeah, I have quite a bit of connections. I know quite a bit of people. But with the server infrastructure, my plan is to just get 2 servers, but very robust, right? You want to run multiple things on there and still have redundancy. So I'm going to virtualize all the on-premise application that we have that you have to manually install in the server. So those are going to be virtualized and then kept on in the cyberspace, right? And then I can replicate them whenever we need to. If it does fail, I spin one up right away. And then that's just all hosted on one of the 2 servers. The second server is going to act as a disaster recovery. So if the first one fails, I flip a switch, we're right back up in business. And that's how the second one works. Ultimately, those are not going to run us a lot. We're probably going to look at about $50,000 to $60,000.
There's $200,000 in savings right there.
These are Dell R550. These are the newest Dell servers. Just 2 robust servers, and we can run just fine. So, yeah. Oh, and the Armin system. I'm just waiting for the purchase order. So what that does is that allows us to monitor computers, the system. I can take care of malware before anything happens. If it does happen, I can take care of it too. So it spots ransomware as well, viruses. It comes with an antivirus system on the back end. So it's constantly monitoring as long as your computer is turned on. Other than that, I'm super excited about it getting that started. And I can't wait to roll out on the server this coming summer. So.
Thank you, Chu.
Yeah.
Any questions for Chu before he leaves? Anyone? All right. Any other board members would like to report anything? All right. Not seeing that. Seeing anything from the rest of the board, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Motion by Mr. Bush, second by Ms. Ossendorf. Roll call vote. Mr. Heineken.
Aye.
Ms. Ossendorf.
Yes.
Oh, did you say? Aye. Mr. Rowan.
Aye.
Mr. Lucas.
Aye.
Mr. Bush. Mr. Lawrence, and I am an aye. We are adjourned.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. Have a good night.
Bye, Ryan. Thank you.